I'm Ben Flanner. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Brooklyn Grange, a rooftop farm that we started. Here's a picture of it. This is from the center. This is about a quarter of it from a sort of aerial view, about 30 feet up. So it's a small farming business. We launched it just about a year ago, last summer for the season. It's 1 acre rooftop farm, and there's 720 cubic yards of soil up there, and we signed a 10-year lease on the building. We have full access to the roof, and we cover an entire roof with a green roof system and lightweight soil. It's a unique project in that we grow and sell all the vegetables, and we're attempting to sort of crack the nut that hasn't really been cracked yet in terms of setting up a viable business model in an urban setting. Quick picture of our founders. It's myself, Anastasia, and Gwen that run the operations, and the two guys in the corner, Chris and Brandon, they own a restaurant in Bushwick, also in Brooklyn, that we partnered with, and the 5 of us put together the team in the project and raised the funds and got the soil and the rooftop installed. So why rooftop farming? There's a couple reasons. The one short, quick one is it allows us to farm in the city. I have a passion for farming and cities at the same time, so it's in line with my passions. From a business point of view, you have this proximity to customers, the 8 million people that hopefully are eating vegetables in New York City. So it allows us to have a lot less waste. We can sell almost everything we grow and harvest things and sell it on a lot of short notice. Then there's also the access to waste streams in the city. We do tons of composting. We bring up about 500 pounds a week in the middle of the summer of vegetable scraps, and I go to a woodworker, basically like a lumber yard in Brooklyn, and pick up wood shavings from them as long as they haven't touched any glue. We can salvage a lot of things, so it's a very hospitable environment to salvaging and scraping together things and essentially using waste streams for what we need to farm. And then at the same time, ground level land in New York City is expensive. We've explored it a little bit, but even landlords have the idea they can put up asphalt and start a parking lot and get more rent than we can afford to pay from what we can get off vegetables. So ground level is pretty much out of the picture. Quick look at a startup cost for the project. We did it definitely on the lean. We paid for all the materials, which is the soil and the green roof system, basic irrigation. We installed it with a crane and some buggies to transport the soil. I have a picture of them coming up. For a budget of $200,000, which is $5 a square foot for the green roof, a typical metric people use. I don't think you guys will be able to read this too well. I guess you can sort of read it, but this was crucial to our business case. In 2009, I'd started a pilot project on 6,000 square foot green roof, also in Brooklyn. And then it's essentially showing that we were very mathematical, we were very quantitative with coming up with a strong business case, and we needed that to raise the money too, because there was a lot of sort of skeptics and doubters. So we made a waterfall showing what we could do by increasing the efficiency in the space, improving the crop mix, and then also working on some season extension to come up with a number that we could generate in revenue per square foot and then back into it. And we actually used this slide in negotiating the lease too, because it was also sort of an unprecedented territory to sign a 10-year lease on a roof that had no amendments on it. So we financed it, the $200,000, through equity investments, personal loans, interest, fundraisers, or something called Kickstarter.com. It's a website that people can use to raise money for projects. It turned out to be really useful and awesome. Here's the site. This is loaded up from Google satellites. I guess it's a little dark, but I don't know how to use the laser. But if you look close, there's a center walkway that comes across here that's about 6 feet wide, and then all through here is just a solid grid pattern of beds. So we're basically growing on every available foot on top of the farm. We have to utilize every foot for vegetables. And then down here is a small dinner table where we can have some events in the evenings. People have really had a good time, and we've gotten good feedback on some events we've had with sunset dinners. It's a nice view of Manhattan that goes out this way. Let's see, here's a picture of the installation. We lifted up the green roof and the sacks with a crane. There's 360 sacks. Each one of them was 2 cubic yards and weighed about 3,000 pounds. We thought we could do it in 4 or 5 days, but it took 6 days. So we averaged about 60 sacks per day. And then once you got to the top, we could only use this corner for the crane because there's a subway that runs underneath this road, and then down here, this is a 39th Street bridge. So we were lifting up every sack with the crane right here, and the crane could only reach probably like 20 feet into the roof. So over and over again, we dumped 3,000 pounds of soil right here, and then we buggied it, and we started here or here in the way back corner, and then just slowly worked our way back. Turned out to be a pretty efficient system. It was a big project, though. So there's a picture of the buggies you can see there. This is a detail on the green roof system. It's OptiGreen, which is a company in Germany that manufactured it. It's a 4-layer system. It's pretty traditional, pretty typical. This is like a smooth black plastic, which is the ultimate root barrier under which no roots will ever go to start damaging the roof. This is a layer of, it's a geotextile, absorbs water and provides some protection, some padding. This is almost like a little egg carton. It's cups, basically, that collect water in a saturated condition, like after a rainstorm or something. And then one more layer of felt that goes above it that keeps the soil out. And above that is the soil. It's about 8 inches, the beds that we grow in, 8, 9, sometimes 10 or 11 inches. So then the idea is that on a rainstorm, we'll collect some water in here, it'll cup in there, and then as things start to dry up above it, it'll slowly sponge it or wick it back up. And then it's as efficient use of rainwater as we can have. There's just a picture of early planting, getting all the crops in. And a little bit more about the business. So our revenue streams are restaurant sales, direct to customers, which is essentially farmers markets, and CSA, about 25 shares. That stands for Community Supported Agriculture. In case you don't know what CSA is, it's where you pay up front for your farm produce. You pay the farmer up front when they need revenue, essentially when they're spending money on seeds and irrigation and so forth. And then throughout the summer, once a week, you get a bag or a box of what's in season. Then we also have some special events and tours, and then just a very small bit of consulting and projects when people come to us looking for help or information. A quick look at our restaurants. Essentially, you see they're all around Brooklyn, Queens. I wish that list was about 10 restaurants long because there's way too much complexity, but we included everybody that we had any transactions with last year. So the idea, everything's less than 5 miles, and we're doing a lot for food travel. You know, like somebody just told me a stat that the average vegetable that we're eating is, you know, probably closer to 1,000 or 1,200 miles that it traveled. So for people that are concerned about food miles and use of fuel and things like that, this is definitely making some nice progress and using a flat, open roof that has the sun beating down on it all day. Just a little bit about our markets. I don't know if you guys need the details, but there's a picture. It's a little dark on this, but we set up tents. We kind of renegated it. We did some markets on sidewalks in front of friends' restaurants and in backyards where possible. This summer, we're going to be partnering with Grow NYC, which is the city's green market system. They're launching a new market that we're going to be part of. A little bit about our crops. Heirloom tomatoes is the largest by percent allocation across the farm. Then we also grow lots of salad greens, arugulas, dandelions, lettuce, mustards, baby bok choys, other nightshades, peppers and eggplants, kale, chard, spinach, typical herbs. You see pretty full list there of what you'd expect to see at farmers markets. Things you'll notice missing are squash and the deep feeding brassicas, which are cauliflower, big cabbage heads, broccoli. Don't find that they do as well in our environment. And then, so I think this is definitely an example of a sort of a newish business with the idea of a triple bottom line that wasn't really like our motto as we started it. Was more just the simple, we want to farm, we want to cover roofs with dirt. But it's definitely something we said for it. You know, the ultimate goal, obviously, is that we generate enough income to pay the farmers' salaries and pay our bills and keep up with rent and everything. But then at the same time, it's representing a lot of good things for the environment with reduced fossil fuel consumption, you know, growing the food as close as possible to where all the demand is, The green roof has an insulation effect on the building, particularly in the summer. There's a cooling effect, the endothermic reaction of the evaporation, and it's just providing another layer of insulation. And then lots of composting. I was really impressed with San Francisco's progress on the composting front, and we're doing what we can at this place, and I'm also definitely excited about some of the composting energy that's happening in New York right now. Has a ways to go, though. And then there's a lot of social benefits. There's a lot of education. We received a lot of outreach from schools in the neighborhoods, and we're having tours and so forth. It's a green space. A lot of people just come by on any given day, sometimes dozens on a nice afternoon. And it's almost like a park for them. They come up and they help us, and they say, what can we do? How can we help? So there's definitely a good community aspect of it, too. So as a result of all the education interest that we're receiving, we launched City Growers, which is a nonprofit. We basically split the books. So there's the commercial farming aspect, which is all the vegetables and the specific commercial-related activities at the farm. And then we launched City Growers, which is still seeking, hasn't quite fulfilled it yet, but it's seeking a grant to essentially pay another salary of someone that'll be 100% geared towards education groups, running tours, bringing kids up. At this point, we have to charge a nominal fee, but the ultimate goal is that we can fund it without that. I didn't hear the buzzer, sorry, I forgot 6. A little bit more on City Growers. It's a picture of the hoop house we put up this spring, and a couple plans for the future. We're putting up more beehives and chicken coops and so forth. And there's a picture. So thanks.